To the Puget Sound Beekeepers Association. This is our January meeting. Thank you all so much for coming, whether you are online or here in person. We are so happy to have you. I'm going to pass this over to Tracy Klein, who's going to teach our beginner's lesson, and I'll see you again in about a half hour. Thank you all.
Hello, everyone. To start off with, I know that we always have a lot of new people at the January meeting. So if you're online, if you wouldn't mind raising your Zoom hand and let us know if this is your first ever beekeeper meeting. Okay, we either have no new beekeepers or shy people. Peter, how many people in the room are new beekeepers?
I'm seeing 8 new beekeepers in the room.
Outstanding. Welcome, everyone. So my name is Tracy Klein. I'm one of the certified master beekeepers in the club, and I oftentimes teach the beginning lesson at the beginning of the bee meetings. What we try to do during these beginner lessons is teach you just enough to be dangerous and know a little bit about what to do the following or upcoming months. So this is an introduction to beekeeping. So let me share my screen. Come on. There we go. Kathy, I can see you. Can you raise your hand if you can see that? Awesome. All right, so we'll just jump right in here. So when you're finding a place for your beehives, I'm assuming that since you're at this meeting, you're either probably going to get bees or you're thinking pretty hard about it. So one of the things you want to do in your yard is figure out a nice sunny spot. And you want to make sure that it's easily accessible because that stuff is heavy, especially when it fills up with honey. So you want to make sure that you've got a nice pathway. Maybe use your garden cart or repurpose your kids' soccer cart so that you can haul equipment in it. You also want to make sure that there's room so that you can work behind the bees. If worst case scenario, there's no room for that, then you just have to adapt like I do over at my cabin, but it's really best to work from behind the hives or on the side of them so that you don't clog up the entrance. You also want to not keep them underneath a bunch of fir trees where it doesn't really get sunny. Honeybees are insects that love warm weather, and so we have precious little of that in the Northwest. So you want to make sure and put the bees in the sunniest place you can. South facing, I say if possible, because you guessed it, my bees face exactly the opposite direction. But if you can get your entrances so that they open south facing, they'll get more activity during the day. And then I have electric fence. Anybody want to pop in and say why you might want an electric fence in certain areas? Any guesses from the new beekeepers? Go ahead and unmute yourself and shout it out. Because if you don't and you live in bear country, this is what your beehives will look like. Yes, those are mine. They were mine before the bear ate them. I have bees over at Hood Canal. And believe it or not, the bear went right through my beehive. I think the electricity must have gone out that day. So the other thing you want to do, and there's a nice link on the Puget Sound Beekeepers website about this, know the regulations in your own community. Most of the communities and cities around Puget Sound do allow up to 4 beehives in a backyard. And so there are also placement restrictions. Obviously, your neighbors aren't going to be super happy if your bees are flying right across their sidewalk that they have to pass. So you want to definitely be neighbor friendly. And if you can, and as soon as you can, give all your neighbors honey, because that turns around even the most recalcitrant neighbors. And actually, if you keep them in your backyard where they're not visible from the street, You'd be surprised how long your neighbors will go and not know that you actually have bees. I was painting a bunch of boxes this summer in my front yard, and this lady walked by and she stopped to talk, and she's like, "Oh, do you have beehives?" I said, "Yes, I do." She's like, "How long have you had them?" I'm like, 18 years. And she's like, "Here?" I said, "Yeah, why?" She's like, "I've lived here that long and I had no idea you had bees." So if you keep them out of sight of the neighbors, that's not a bad idea either. So now I'm going to pop right into the most popular beehives that people use. And by the way, the boxes are called the hives and the bees are actually a colony. So when we say hives, we're talking about the wooden structures that the bees live in. So most people in the US use something called a Langstroth hive. It's actually quite an old design, developed by a monk, and it has just exactly the right kind of bee space in there, so you don't end up with extra weird comb and stuff. So you want to make sure that you either pick 10 frame or 8 frame boxes, and it doesn't matter which you pick, but once you pick, you're stuck with that because the footprint's different sized, obviously. So Kathy, hold that thought for a minute. So the 8 frame boxes tend not to be as heavy, and you can also use 10 frame boxes, and I think this is where Kathy's going, and use what's called follower boards on the outside positions, and so you have effectively an 8 frame box that the bees work in, but a 10 frame space. So Kathy, go ahead and unmute and add whatever you wanted to add. You're still muted. Nope. All right, maybe put it in the chat. All right, so then there also are beekeeping classes. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then the other popular design is a top bar or a long Langstroth hive, where you keep the bees in a horizontal box, kind of like if they were staying in a log that was laying on the ground. So it's a little bit different style of beekeeping, but both work. The Langstroth hive is the most popular in the US. And then as we get thinking about, all right, well, I'm going to have bees. What kind of bees am I going to have? And maybe some of you in the audience are thinking, oh, crap, I didn't even know there was different kinds of bees. Well, so in the Puget Sound, you usually have 2 main choices. When you order your bees, they'll ask, do you want Italian bees or Carniolan bees? And so this is a quick snapshot of what the queens look like. The Italian bees are the most popular choice in the US. The queens are light colored over here on the left-hand side, and they're pretty easy to find on the comb. The Carniolan queens are dark, and sometimes they can be a real bugger to find in there because they blend in with everybody else a lot easier than the other queens. So just a couple of things that I'll pick out of the list here. I won't read them all, but generally the Italian bees ramp up their size on a slower slope than the Carniolan bees. The Carniolan bees will have an explosive growth in the spring, which can be a little bit challenging for new beekeepers to stay ahead of that growth. So they do tend to swarm a little bit more for newer beekeepers. The advantage to the Carniolans in our cold, wet climate is that they do overwinter better, in my humble opinion, in the Northwest than the Italian bees, because the Italian bees overwinter a bigger cluster and more bees, so they eat more food. So those tend to starve out between now and March if new beekeepers don't stay, really on top of that. All right, and then moving right along, you want to make sure and order your bees right away. I think we're going to have some people talk about some of the vendors later on in this meeting. Package bees are super popular. They're a little bit less expensive than a nucleus colony, affectionately called a nuke. So that's a package of bees is just a wire box with 3 pounds of bees inside and a queen in a little cage. And a nuke is a little bit more expensive, but if you can swing it, that's actually my favorite because you get a faster start. So those come with usually five drawn frames, drawn meaning there's comb all the way out to the edges or nearly all the way out to the edges of the comb. And there's the bees, the queens should be loose in there and laying eggs. So you have all different stages of bees in their growth cycle from an egg all the way up to little bees popping out and coming out of their out of the wax coverings. So they are slightly more expensive, but your colony gets a faster start that way. Those are best picked ups. I know that some out of state places will ship bees in nukes, but those get overheated really easily and don't ship very well. So the vendors that are familiar with the Puget Sound beekeepers generally drive down to California, pick them up and bring them up on a specific weekend in April or May. And so one other thing about nukes that is a need to know, there's a huge variation in price, and it mostly has to do with how many bees you get in the box with them. So you might find a really inexpensive nuke, but then if you read the fine print, there's only 3 frames of bees in there and an empty frame and a shim. So make sure that you're reading the fine print when you're purchasing a nucleus colony to make sure that you're getting what you expect you are. And then using PSBA approved vendors do help the club out by helping get bees into our club's apiary. And an important note, I have it in red for a reason. Order your bees now or in February, because otherwise you might not get bees this year. So many people wait until April and then they're like, oh, hey, yeah, I want bees. But it's too late because there aren't any more. All right, we're gonna take questions at the end. So hopefully you guys are writing down your questions. So here's what the Langstroth hive looks like on the inside. I'll start from the top. So this top right here is something called a telescoping top. In the Northwest, we get a lot of rain and water, so it's nice to have those edges. It does fit all the way down around the inner cover, which is the next piece here. This is called the inner cover. And then some people use all what we call deeps. Some people use all mediums. And some people use a combination of each. This picture has 2 brood boxes down on the bottom that are deep boxes. So they're taller than the medium boxes, which makes them super heavy once they get honey in them. They can weigh up to 100 pounds, just one box with if it's filled up with honey. So that's why a lot of people will use all medium boxes, plus then they're all interchangeable if you use all mediums. And so that's a decision to make too. Either way, you want to have either 2 deeps or 3 medium hive bodies, these boxes, for your brood chamber. If you don't have that much space for the queen to lay in the Northwest, then they're highly likely to swarm, and no one likes that except for me because I like to go pick them up. But you want to have 2 deeps or 3 mediums for your brood chamber, and then you want to have 2 or 3 medium boxes, usually for honey supers. Some big, heavy, strong, burly men use deeps for their honey supers, but almost no one else does. Most everybody uses the medium boxes for their honey supers. I also recommend using a feeder. That's not shown here, and robbing screens, also not shown here. Now, on a note on frames, if you get a 10 frame box, you'll also need to have 10 frames to fit in there. So many times I've seen new beekeepers make a mistake and leave one of those out, or say, oh, well, I didn't actually need 10 in there. Yeah, actually you do. So make sure that whichever size box, the 8 or the 10 frame boxes, that you have frames for each. If you're taking notes, one super important thing for new beekeepers when you're purchasing frames is if you're going to use foundation, and most people do, make sure you purchase the stuff that is already waxed. People sometimes accidentally or unknowingly buy the plastic foundation that is not waxed, and the bees hate it. They hate it, and it's really hard to get them to draw a comb on them. So make sure that you purchase frames that are already waxed. All right, and then in the Northwest, you can't leave the boxes unpainted. Well, you can, but they won't last very long because they're only pine. And so you want to get some sort of exterior latex paint and paint the outsides ahead of time so it's nice and dry before you put bees in there. The new paint's not very stinky, but it's best to paint it ahead of time. And for those of you that have been by the paint department at Home Depot and Lowe's and happen to notice they have extra cans of paint laying around up in the front, it's usually called Oops paint. You can usually get that for 10 to 12 bucks for a gallon. So long as you're not super picky about the color, you can get paint way cheaper than if you just have it mixed to a specific color. And then another thing that I thought, oh, duh, stupid, why didn't I ask this before? Last summer, I put a notice out to all my neighbors. We have a text string. I said, hey, does anybody have any paint in their garage that's exterior paint that they don't want anymore? I'll trade you for some honey. And 3 of my neighbors said, yeah, come get it. Or they said, the one guy said, yeah, I'll bring it over. You got the honey ready? So it was a good trade for everybody because I got their old paint for free and they got some honey out of the deal. All right, and then we're going to talk, go away from the bees and talk about protective clothing that you're going to want to have. So you're definitely going to want to have a veil, and most of the veils now come with a zipper that connects them right to the bee suit. So you'll either want to have a jacket with a veil or the full bee suit. They come in 2 different kinds of fabric. One is a vented suit, a little bit more expensive, but in my opinion, well worth it because the canvas suits get super hot in the summer. I mean, it doesn't always get that hot here, but boy, does it get sweaty, because the best time to work your bees is in the afternoon, the hottest time of the day. And you can really get overheated in those other suits. I went to a vented suit and never went back. You'll also want to have gloves. So either the long gauntlet gloves, or some people like to use latex gloves, or you know, a heavier duty sort of glove. Some people use dishwashing gloves. It really doesn't matter. You just don't want to have black ones because the bees think you're a bear. So some light colored gloves works great. So this is what new beekeepers and intermediate beekeepers should wear. And then that crazy lady, Kathy Cox, she just works her bees in tank top and flip flops. And I'm pretty sure this was the day she dropped a whole frame of bees on her feet, on bare feet, flip flops. And she looked down and she goes, damn. And I nearly freaked out because I was a relatively new beekeeper then. I'm like, lady, you are nuts. But since then, she's gotten me to wear a tank top every once in a while and shorts. But I personally don't like to get my hands sticky, so I still use gloves. I think Dawn Beck still uses gloves too because she doesn't like her hands all sticky either. If you don't mind the sticky and you're a more advanced beekeeper, by all means, go for it. By the way, hand sanitizer works great to get all the propolis off your hands when you're done. All right, and then finally, standard tools. So everybody will want to have a smoker. Any fuel will work. You just don't want to have stuff that shoots off a lot of sparks. So let's say, for example, if you're using any sort of cedar product, cedar chips or cedar bark, that does throw off a lot of sparks and burns kind of hot. So you'll at least want to pick some, rip up some grass and put it in a wad and put it on the top, and that keeps the sparks from flying out the top, because all that wax is super flammable. Plus you don't want to burn your little bees' butts while you're shooting sparks out at them. They don't tend to really like that. And then there's 3 main hive tools that people use. This scraper cleaner, a pry bar that's really popular in beekeeping kits. If you're using that, a frame lifter is super handy. So you really kind of need two tools, but if you switch to this J-hook tool, you can pry and do all that, and you don't need to buy a frame lifter. So that's just extra if you have this this pry bar. And then a couple things that are coming really handy is this frame perch, because you'll want to have, you know, one or two frames out while you're looking at your other frames. And so having this nice frame perch on the side is kind of handy. And then most people buy a bee brush as well. And the kits oftentimes come with those too. And you can either shake the bees off your frame. We'll talk more about that later, but some people like to use these bee brushes. Honestly, I don't use these very often because bees tend to get stuck in there and then they sting the brush and get everybody all riled up. So you don't use the bee brush a whole lot. And then moving along, we do have a couple of beginner beekeeping classes that are going to be posted soon on the website. Dawn is teaching a Zoom class the weekend of March 15th and 16th in the morning, both days. And then I'll be teaching an in-person class at the Graham Visitor Center at the Arboretum. It'll be an all-day class on April 5th. And then for those of you that are in the crowd today that already have bees, now's the perfect time to check to make sure that your bees still have food. So this picture here is a really nice contrast. So the red is where there's more heat. And you'll notice that this beehive on the far right-hand side, all the bees are still in the bottom because they have lots of honey still up on the top and they haven't eaten their way up. So they don't need any food. This colony is still huge, and they are in all varying stages and places in this bee hive. So they had moderate food stores left. The two on the far left, though, see how the bees are up at the top, and so they'd already eaten through most of their food stores. So this month and next and the following month, they're still not going to be able to get out very much. So if I hadn't fed them, they would have died. And unfortunately, a lot of people's bees in the spring do perish from starvation. And so on the right-hand side are a couple examples of how I feed my bees. It's called, I'm lazy, so I don't make sugar patties. I just put a piece of newspaper over the top frames and then pour sugar on top. And then as the bees breathe the moist air, makes the sugar all hard. And then whatever they haven't eaten when April rolls around, I take off and make into syrup. So you want to make sure that you have a couple, 2-3 pounds of honey, or I'm sorry, of white sugar on top so that your bees aren't starving. And then this lower picture, this is a winter inspection where you just tip the box, look inside. And in this particular case, the inspection also included me taking my hive tool and shoving those two sugar patties over, and they're different color because this was in late February and I'd already added pollen patties a little bit to the colony. So they started brooding up, but just all I did was move those over closer to where the cluster is. And then once they get down to no stores in there at all, then what I do is I check every 2 or 3 weeks and just make sure they still have food. Come on, it's stuck. Whoops. All right, so I'll stop talking and I'll stop sharing and I'll open it up for questions. If you're online, go ahead and hover down on the bottom and down where that says react, you can click on that and you can raise your hand.
Go for it.
I see you mentioned bears and I saw snow. So I'm thinking about doing these out where we have land in Chelan County. Wondering where you are and how much difference there is in learning how to take care of bees. And is there a similar Puget Sound Bee Association? Is there a counterpart over there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have bees on Hood Canal. and I have bees in Seattle and in the Highlands in outside of Renton. And believe it or not, the colonies with the snow on top were my bees in town a couple of years ago. So sometimes this time of year in February, we'll have a foot of snow on top of the colonies, and other times we won't. But certainly it's colder and drier over in Chelan. So you'll definitely want to make sure and have more food stores on. And then you'll also want to probably have a bear fence around there, since there'll be more. And I see Mogli has her hand raised, and she keeps her bees over in Idaho where it's super cold. So I think she's probably got some tips. So I'll turn it over to her.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you're welcome to connect with me if you want. Send me an email. I can put it in the chat, but if you're in the room, there might be a better system as well. So I'm happy to connect if any of you is in a more cold, dry place with bears. I live at the entrance to Yellowstone Park, and that's where I have my bees. And as for local clubs, Dawn Beck might know actually where all the local clubs are. She knows very well where a lot of the clubs are in the state. So Dawn, sorry, I'm totally putting you on the spot.
And there's an Eastern Washington Facebook group too.
Dawn had an emergency and unfortunately isn't here tonight, so.
I see Locke has a question online.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Senator.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
So I'm curious about preparing for the maple flow. Do you advise beginning to feed bees like in late February, March to kind of bulk them up ahead of the maple flow, or is it too spotty to make that kind of an investment?
It is risky. I've read some articles in the beekeeping journals that if you start feeding your bees pollen patties in mid to late February, that they'll actually have twice the population on average by the time the blackberries bloom than if you hadn't done that. However, once you start brooding them up like that, you definitely run a greater risk of them starving if the maple flow's a bust, or if there's great maple, but it's too rainy for them to get out. So there is a lot more management consideration to think about if you're going to start giving them pollen patties, mid to late February.
I've also found that maple is a biennial flow, meaning you'll have a strong year and then a weak year over and over, irregardless of the weather. So be careful of that as well.
Any idea what this year's going to be?
Around me, it's going to be a weak flow because last year was absolutely busting.
Last year was pretty bumper crop. But the year before, Kit Hyatt in West Seattle got a ton of maple honey. So I think it also has to do with how much rain there is. And, there might be a lot of maple out there, but they can't get to it.
I'll
And
say we found last year really depended on the location. We had some locations that it was the worst location or worst harvest we have ever had. Others that did fine, but we thought it was abysmal. So if you just wanted, yeah, 2 years ago was really good for us. So you just never know.
Last year was a tough year for beekeepers everywhere because it was so rainy, and then the blackberries bloomed, and then it rained and it washed all the nectar out. And so it was a tough year last year.
Well, another question for you. This will be my first going into spring with bees. Are you guys going to do any, I've heard that sometimes there are classes on splits, or like how to manage that. Is there any plans on doing one of those classes this year?
Yeah, the club doesn't do a splits class, but Kathy and I usually do.
Okay. I'll
So I'm the Renton neighborhood captain. If you want to shoot me an email, I'd be happy to put you on a list.
Okay. I can't see, are there other hands, or can I go for one more?
I'd say go for one more. You're the only hand so far that I see.
In my winter studies, I came across some people who are saying they would remove a queen from their hive just before, or just as a flow is starting, and it keeps the bees focused on gathering as opposed to like raising brood. Have you ever tried that? Is that foolish, or does it
Nope.
work?
I have. It works pretty good. And we talked about that in the splits class too.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that class.
Cool. It's a fun class. People have a good time.
Okay, I appreciate it. I'll let somebody else have a turn.
I think we should probably.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tracy.
You are welcome.
I'm gonna just try to get the technology going for the next deck. Let's see. You should load. Oh.
Yay.
But we don't know, but the problem is we don't have the subtitles. So I just need to figure out. They're on this and not up there.
One moment for technical stuff.
So if I think we need to do it. If somebody does know how to do this one. Okay, I think, yeah, I think if we don't put it in presentation mode, it'll work. So it'll just. But. Because I'm not sure. How to do.
Amy Beth,
Right.
what are you trying to do?
We're having issues in making sure we have the subtitles up on our screen for
Okay.
accessibility in the room. So, okay, we will do this. And then I will play with it and see if I can.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm back. This is Peter. I am the new, welcome again to the January meeting of the Puget Sound Beekeepers Association. If I stand, hopefully it'll find me. And this is the owl. We haven't done a lot of presentations. And you just moved me out of it.
I know, but you can stand to the room. It'll go. Yeah, there you go. See, it's fine.
Hi. Did it find me? Sort of. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the January meeting of the 2025 Beekeepers Association. 2025 Puget Sound Beekeepers Association January meeting. I can talk, really. It's been a long 8 days for me. I just drove down to California and back. I'm doing almond pollination for the first time ever, which is really exciting and really, really tiring. I got back at 4:30 this afternoon. So if my words are a little confused, I'm sorry. I didn't have a chance to shave before I came, but hey, we made it here. Thank you all. And here we go. Puget Sound Beekeepers Association is your beekeepers association if you're in the greater Seattle area. We are dedicated to educating beekeepers and the public, and we are a 501c3 organization. Just really quickly, I want to talk through a couple programs that we have. If you are a new beekeeper or an older beekeeper, the Neighborhood Captains program is important for you. If you are an older beekeeper, this is essentially our mentoring program that the Puget Sound Beekeepers Association has. And we have more experienced beekeepers volunteer some of their time to help other beekeepers. Sometimes that can mean that they're going to get together, host a dinner or coffee night, beer night, whatever, somewhere, and everyone can come, talk bees, ask questions. Sometimes they'll let you come over and, work with their bees. If they're feeling super generous and you're super, super, super nice to them, they might even, be willing to do other things, but that is not part of the job description. Other things being maybe look at your hives, but very much not part of the job description. That is, you better be bribing them. If you are a new beekeeper, then go ahead. There's the website link, and that'll give you a list of all of the current neighborhood captains that you can look through and connect with whoever your neighborhood captain is. My wife's going to fix something again. I am talking to them. Hi, room. Apiary registration is very, very important. Starting, it is out now. I just double checked. This QR code should work for you if you want to just pull it up either here or at home if you're on your computer. Apiary registration is required for all beekeepers. You have to register by April 1st. The registration for hobby beekeepers is really basically nothing. I think for 0 to 5, it's like 0 to 5 hives. It's $5. And that money goes to Washington State University for bee research. So that money benefits us directly. Also, it benefits you directly because by registering, that is your main requirement for being protected under Washington State's beekeeper liability protection law, which says that as long as you are following the law of wherever you are, whatever county, municipality, whatever, and are registered as a beekeeper, you are protected from liability up to gross negligence, not including gross negligence, but you are protected from civil liability. So we do want everyone to register their as a beekeeper, and you're registering once again as a beekeeper, not your bee hives. You're registering how many hives you're keeping. If you're in 5 different locations, it doesn't matter. You just register once because you're just registering as a beekeeper.
Our state has this.
And we are the only state that has that, by the way, that beekeeper liability protection. Next thing, swarm list. If you are an experienced beekeeper, this is for experienced beekeepers only. First-year beekeepers, we love you. We don't want you on the swarm list. Sorry. Find a more experienced beekeeper mentor on the swarm list who's willing to take you out with them to catch a swarm or two, learn the ropes, and next year you can be on the swarm list because we do want you on the swarm list. We just want you to know what you're doing first. If you're interested in being on the swarm list, here's a QR code. You can, and also a URL, whichever way is easiest for you. That goes directly to the form to sign up for the swarm list. There is a list of questions. Say, yes, I agree to be a responsible beekeeper, not leave bees behind. All of the other things that are part of responsible swarm catching. And that is basically that.
Where does this work go?
Sorry, thank you. The swarm list is distributed to fire departments. I actually don't remember who all else it's distributed directly to. It goes online. We get lots and lots and lots of calls every year for the swarm list. Jeff, if you're on here, can you tell us who else the swarm list goes to directly?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, we send it a lot of little small businesses as well. So we actually also include pesticide companies, or pest control companies, I should say. So they get a call and they see honeybees. They'll let us know so they don't spray them, kill them. So it goes to a lot of people. It goes like Boeing, any place with like the big warehouses and stuff where bees can find lots of little places to hide. So yeah, it's a great resource. We definitely need people that are experienced that can help out. We want to help the bees. We want to help the public, and get them into good spots.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate it. Do I have one more slide? That is all of my announcement slides. I meant to have a couple slides in here to reintroduce all of the new board members and officers to you, but I will just say the officer names really fast. And if you're in the room or online, if you would just raise your hand, wave, whatever. I'm Peter Nolte. I am the president. Magali is online. She is our vice president this year. Bruce is in the room over there, and Bruce is our treasurer. He's been our treasurer for a very, very, very long time. He does massive amounts of work. We super appreciate it. Colleen, are you around? Either here. Colleen's in the back of the room. She is our secretary. So happy to have her. She picked that up and is doing an awesome job. And Dawn, who cannot be here due to an emergency, is the president ex officio, which means that she was president last year. And this year she is on the board as an officer, kind of mentoring me as the new president, I suppose. I will not try to remember all of the different trustee names, but if you are a trustee, whether you are in the room or online, if you're online, would you, raise your hand, wave, whatever. If you're in the room, would you also, raise your hand, wave, whatever. Look around. These are your board members, officers, trustees, etc. That takes us through all of the announcements for today. I believe, did anyone have any officers, trustees? Were there any important announcements that I missed for the day? I did this quickly because, as I said, I was driving all day. Nancy has an announcement.
I have many jars of sample honey that I've used to sample over the years, and I need to get rid of them. So anyway, I brought some this time. You get the honey in the condition it's in, which means it's crystallized and there are small bottles and what, anyway, you can just take that if you would like to take some.
Great. So if you are in person, I'm just going to repeat that for, I don't know if it was audible online. If you're in person, Nancy has a whole lot of old honey tasting jars that are available. Feel free to grab it. If you're online, Nancy, are there going to be more here next month? We'll have more here next month. So if you want to come get some free honey next month, come in person.
We also have seeds. We have pollinator seeds. That these are also free. So these other things.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. We are going to take just a couple minutes in person so that we can get all of the different bee vendors set up and ready to go. Our main presentations this month are for bee sales presentations. We have 4 local companies that the Puget Sound Beekeepers Association has vetted and thinks that they've got some great products. And each of them is going to have about 7 minutes to present who they are and what their product is to you, whether you're online or here in person. And then there will be about 3 minutes afterwards to ask direct questions to each presenter immediately after their presentation. If you're in person after that, the vendors are going to go out to the 4 corners of the rooms and you can go ask all of the questions, talk to all of the vendors as much as you want. If you're online, just keep talking bees, have fun, do your thing. Thank you all so much. Give us like 2 minutes to get the vendors set up and ready to go. We have a couple of fast questions. Kit?
Well, while we're getting set up, maybe I can talk a little bit about.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, Kit can go ahead and start talking.
While Kit's setting up,
Yeah.
I just want to let people in the room know that we've got seed packets. Both, it's over from last year, but I thought that's a new one. So if you have people that you think would be interested in planting the pollinator seed, please take some, because we just got a new order for this year, and my general guideline is if you take them, you gotta plant them, but in our case, you don't want to give them to people who will plant, rather than just get them from the doors. So anyway, it's a box, right?
It's great for classrooms,
Yeah, my theory is that a 10-year-old was the most effective people to give it.
They end up everywhere.
We have a question in the room. The question was, can mason bees and honeybees coexist, or do you need to keep them apart?
Great question. I have never heard of mason bees and honeybees interacting poorly with each other. Feel free to put them in the same yard and yeah, have fun, enjoy. It'll work great for you. Kit, go ahead and do your part.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
so you can keep happening. I don't want to interrupt.
No.
So I just wanted to say that this is kind of the time of year when people come forward, get me online and ask for volunteer opportunities. And that's something that I've been involved in for a lot of years. And what I tell people is to come to meetings, because that's kind of where you get the rolling energy and figure out what's going on and where you might tuck yourself in.
and get involved. You can always come to board meetings. You're welcome. You can't vote, but you can attend and see what we're up to. You can also help us out when we do events this summer. We do attend maybe 3 or 4 events, and I put out the word that we're looking for people to come and help and man the booth with us, sample honey, help us sell it. You don't have to really know very much about bees. You'll learn a lot by osmosis because we bring bees that the public comes and watches, and that's fun to do. Anyway, to get involved, there's just a lot of different ways you can help with the apiary. You can mow the lawn. You can at the apiary. That's a real thing. And so if you have something that, if you have energy, come talk to me. Let's do it separately from now. But I would love to take notes and be in touch. We can email and people online too. Kay Hyatt is HIATT@pugetsoundmeetings.org. And but if you just go to volunteers online too, it comes to me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. We're going to go ahead. Amy, Beth, are we ready for the first one? Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the vendor presentations. I did just have one. Okay, we're not quite ready for the vendor presentations because that's all right, because I just did get asked to do one more quick announcement. We have this Sunday, we are having a hive postmortem at the PSBA apiary, which Jeff is going to be leading for us, along with Kathleen, our apiary manager. And we're going to go through the deadouts that are in the apiary, and Jeff is going to talk us through how to tell why they died. Was it starvation? Was it moisture? Was it mites? Was it something completely different? Jeff's going to do all those postmortem things for us. So if you're curious about why your hives died or want to know more for in the future, if your hives die, that would be a great event to come to. You do have to register for it. The registration form is online, and we do hope to see you there. On that note, I also remembered one other announcement type thing just to make for any new beekeepers last year or more experienced beekeepers last year who had a rough time of it. If you lost more hives than you would have hoped, I just want to let you know that that is kind of nationwide at the moment. We are showing over 55% mortality death rate for colonies in the managed colonies in the United States this year. And it has actually been worse on the big commercial guys than on the small guys. I was just, as I said, down in California talking to some of the big almond migratory beekeepers, and they're saying that it's really, 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 really bad. There are big, successful migratory beekeepers that have lost 85% of their hives this last winter. So don't feel bad. Last year was rough in the Seattle area. It was also rough everywhere. So if you lost your hives, if you lost all of your hives, if you lost more than you wanted to, it was a rough year for everyone. Don't get discouraged. It'll get better. I promise. They don't know. They do not know why yet. Normal mortality rate nationally is about 1/3. Give or take. Depends on the year. It goes up and down, but 55% is much higher than it's been in recent years.
Okay.
And I'm gonna get out of the way. Did you have one more question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, but on the marketing side of things, I learned by visiting the local farmers market in West Seattle, they can strict competition. They only allow one honey sales merchant at any point in time. How do we?
That's not, that depends a lot on the farmers market. The West Seattle farmers market actually has had 2 beekeepers for a long time. A friend of mine was the other beekeeper who's been there for a long time. He's not there at the moment. But I do actually do farmers markets, and I will say from experience that most farmers markets really can't handle more than one beekeeper. You go in to the farmer's market as a produce grower, and you've got people who have to buy, lettuce every single week. You can get a lot of people buying lettuce, but at any, small to mid-size farmer's market, really any but the absolute largest farmer's markets, you got people coming. Your most rabid customers are going to be buying honey maybe twice a year. Maybe monthly, the most rabid ones, but most people buy honey a couple times a year. So you just have a much smaller group of people looking to buy honey each week. So yeah, one beekeeper per farmer's market for most farmers markets really is the appropriate amount for them to actually be able to make money.
Okay, I get that, but it's
Yeah.
kind of unfair that it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they ought to be really open to do something. That's our.
It's a good, I'll say, I would love to talk more about it because it's something that, especially as we were small and selling honey and couldn't do an entire year of a farmer's market, we tried to talk with them a lot about like, how can we do more sharing or different things? And so I think, yeah, there's a lot of good conversation to be had there.
There are, if you're looking for a farmer's market to sell your honey in, there are farmers markets looking for beekeepers who can't find a beekeeper.
We get
So
calls
I get
every year,
calls
so we can
from
connect
farmers
you.
markets looking for beekeepers.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a lot of smaller, sort of the smaller ones that's out, a lot of it can start.
Okay, number
Let me
one.
make you sit down. Okay, I drew one, so I'll introduce myself and we'll get going. Hello. I know I've been the weird person sort of in the background. I'm Amy Beth Nolte. I am his other half. But I'm going to talk as a representative of Rainy Day Bees because that is our beekeeping company. So just looking at my time to make sure. So who are we? We manage right now like 150, 200 beehives across the Seattle area. We specialize in neighborhood specific honey. So we keep hives in over 30 backyards and rooftops, but also farm and forestry land. So we have a pretty wide variety of places that we keep bees. And we've been doing this for 14 plus years. We've been selling at farmers markets for over a decade. And we've been selling bees this will be our 10th year. We have a WSDA certified food processing facility that is actually a extracting facility that can be rented up in Shoreline. We got a grant through the WSDA last year that helped us expand that. And it's been great to offer that service to other beekeepers as well as bottling services. And then we do like beekeeping classes and coaching and other things. So what do we sell? We sell nucleus hives, and last year we also added packages because there's a particular queen line that we sell, and that is Golden West bees. I'm actually going to go forward and then go back. If you are familiar with Randy Oliver, he is scientificbeekeeping.com. If you watch YouTube videos, you've probably heard him. These are his bees. So Randy and his son, Eric, they are the only bees we've ever purchased of actual nukes. And things we like about them, they are in Northern California and they're at a decently high elevation. So these bees do experience weather, they get snow, and also we'll talk a little bit about Randy's breeding practices as well, and this is really how we've built our apiary over the last decade. So we sell deep nucleus hives from Golden West, from the Olivers, as well as packages with Golden West queens. So these are Oliveris is a honey company who is now producing these Golden West queens. So we added packages to our lineup last year when they started making those. We also do have some available of our own medium nucleus hives because medium nukes are hard to find. And then throughout the year, we pretty much always have queens in stock. So we get queens from a lot of places. Again, we're in Shoreline. That's where our pickup is. So if during the year you're trying to find a queen, we often have them banked for ourselves. And so we do sell them. So why do we like the Golden West bees? Randy's mite resistance breeding program he's been working on for quite some time. So he started with one hive that held a 0 mite count for an entire year, which is kind of amazing, like to have 0 on that one hive. And then he's had intense selection over time for the daughters that hold a 0 mite count. And he only breeds from queens that did not need mite treatments for an entire year before. After 6 years, he has 4.5% of his hives are keeping that zero mite count, which is a lot slower than he wishes they were going, but he is slowly making progress on this. There is sort of, he has his end of 2023 update if everyone's interested in sort of learning about that. It does not mean that you can not treat these hives for mites in the city. We have so much mite drift. These hives still do need to be treated, but we like their odds and the way that they perform. And this is a lot of the genetics that we use. The other thing we have that is brand new this year that we are offering as of just a couple of weeks ago. So this is new to us. We are learning a lot. Are American Foulbrood vaccinated queens. We will have them available in our Golden West packages. So this vaccine just came out. And we originally, it wasn't something that we were thinking of doing, but we went to the American Beekeeping Federation conference a couple of weeks ago and learned more about this and decided to offer it. It'll be a $15 fee or a $15 increase on top of the package price. So they're vaccinated against American Foulbrood, which, as you may know, is an awful disease. We have had a case of it a handful of years ago that we dealt with, and it is not anywhere near our apiary. So it is thankfully rare, but because we've had it and people know that, we get calls once or twice a year, and sort of it is going around. You said 2 minutes. What?
You have 2 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Throughout, I'm almost there. But we do hear about that. But we learned the reason that we are offering this is that vaccination is also effective against deformed wing virus. So the new research is that there is 83% of effectiveness against deformed wing virus. So this is a little more information if you're interested in learning about this. We're excited just to try this and see how it performs, and with the mite resistance of Randy's queens along with vaccine, interested to see how that is. So, but we're saying that of like, this is not something we have experience with, but wanted to offer this in case it was something that people were interested in. So again, just my quick recap is we sell nukes, packages, as well as nucleus hives. Our pickup is in Shoreline, Washington, so just north of Seattle. We do have some flexibility with our pickup date. When are we expecting pickup?
The Golden West nukes will be presumably picked up first weekend of May. The packages could be mid-April is current assumption. The medium nukes I'm also hoping for mid-April. All of that is variable, of course, depending on what the weather does down in California and when they're able to start raising new queens.
We are definitely not the earliest nukes. Like you will hear, that's like, there's lots of different things. That's one of the things we love. It's like everyone offers different things. So are there any questions about the Golden West bees or any of that? Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
Since you have both nukes and packages, I was wondering, do you ever see any benefit likewise to have packages?
Sorry, Alyssa. Nancy would like you to verbally state the prices because she can't.
Oh, great. Yes. Our deep nucleus hives, 5-frame, are $275. Our packages are $185, which how many pounds of bees are they? 3 pounds. Thank you. And then our own medium nukes are $250 with a box deposit. And queens sort of vary depending on what we have in stock. We sometimes, we often have various Oliveris and the organ company. Old Soul.
I just got an email. They are not selling queens this year. They are increasing their migratory operation instead.
Never mind. We will not have Old Soul queens this year. Okay, you're asking nukes packages.
So nukes and packages, do you ever see any benefit mite-wise to getting a package of these instead of a nucleus colony? That's just one thing I've wondered about.
I can answer that question, even though I'm not in the presentation. So packages will have all been treated for mites, usually with like soft vaporization or something like that. So packages should come in with a very, very low mite count. It's easy to treat them because there's no fruit and the mite side will be not very close. Nukes, most nuke sellers do treat their nukes as well. The Olivers in particular treat all of the nukes with a oxalic acid dribble during the broodless period between when the nuke is built up and when the nuke queen starts. So they should come in with very minimal ones as
Awesome. Is there an announcement or am I passing it off to?
PSBA, do we have, who was the next one? Who was gonna talk about stuff? Oh, anyone remember? Yeah, I know Dave's okay, so Dave, if you want to go get ready for your presentation. Apiary, Kathleen, you want to quickly talk about apiary stuff? While Dave is getting ready? Okay.
So the issue is when in present our money doesn't text up. And I don't know how to.
Just here in the room, yeah, well, that's easy then. Sorry about late, I'm here. They didn't make you afraid to get him out. You don't want to sit on the owl. Okay, yeah, so there's food to talk about the owl. They don't look at you. Yes, well, there it is. Hi, Al. So last year, we had a very productive, very busy time at the apiary. We had lots of volunteers. We were here, Pauline, Nathan, Anne, Max. It was great. We had a lot of help behind the scenes, and a lot of you came out for our bi-monthly events where a lot of the board members came and took a session. We learned a lot. We have a lot of hives. I'm hoping to not have that many hives this year. But we do, Peter talked about the first session that we have, which is starting off sad, and go from there. The next session then will be how to install disease, hopefully sometime in April, and then watch the calendar for the other events. They'll get posted. Pretty quick. All right, thank you.
Well, I've got another, little announcement. Next to the heat packing, in the last week or so, I got a stack of catalog from, one of the, heat supply places. And, they're in Western Washington, they got a branch in Western Washington somewhere, but if you'd like to grab one, feel free to pick one up, with on the table here.
So yeah, I think if it's not a presenter view, so you have to use that. So I need to figure out. Great. Okay.
Nice. Okay. Okay, I'm Dave Schiefelbein. My company is Elite Honey and Bee. If you look us up online, how do I advance that? It's not advancing.
Oh, here we go. Sorry, it wasn't clicked in.
Okay. If you look us up online, and I hope you do, it's elitehoneyandbee.com, all spelled out. I've been selling bees and making trips to California since 2012, I believe. So I have a lot of experience in the sale and transportation of live honeybees. My offerings this year are 3-pound packages, 5-frame deep nukes, and mated queens. We source our honeybees from Highcombs in Orland, California, which is the queen capital of the United States. That's Russ Highcomb on the right, second generation owner of that company. His father started it, retired, and now Russ runs it. I always like to start out talking about our warranty. We feel like we have really strong queens, and the queen is the heart and soul of any package or any nuke. So we offer a full warranty on our queens. If they do not perform, we replace them. Okay, into the products, 3-pound packages with a mated queen, of course. We have 3 races, Caucasian, New World Carniolan and Italian. The cost is $194. If you return that box to us, and we hope you do, I'll talk about that also, you get $4 back. Our tentative delivery dates right now are April 13th, April 27th in Medina, Washington, which is basically Bellevue. Both are Sundays. I say tentative, we're on the calendar for those delivery dates. But like Peter already said, bee breeding is all about weather, and it's about weather in California. And so sometimes inclement weather can delay deliveries, but right now that is our schedule. Just another note about packages. When I've done these presentations before, because I've done so many trips to California, I've seen this process many times. And I have a lot of pictures of it. And I've shown those before, but if you haven't seen any of those presentations, our table, which we're going to set up, and my partner TJ, who's in the back of the room right now, will be at the table also. We will have a video loop so you can actually see what the packaging is like out in the field. So please do visit our table to see that if you've never seen it before. The second item that we're selling are 5-frame deep nukes, and please remember that the frames are deep frames. They won't work in medium boxes. Same 3 races, cost is $285. Once again, if you return the box to us, you get $20 back. So that would drop the price to $265. Same delivery dates, April 13th and 27th. I'd like to talk a second about why we really emphasize the return of our package boxes and our nuke boxes. We're really trying to keep, first of all, you from cluttering up your property with a bunch of things that you're never going to use again. But we're also trying to keep things out of the landfill. So it's a little bit of effort for us to take them all back and to pay you to bring them back, but it's and then we store them indoors for the rest of the season and take them back to California with us so they are recycled and used again. We do that effort because we think it's worthwhile. And we're one of the people that have, and our supplier is the same, we've stuck with the wood package boxes because we can reuse those over and over. And I think I'm correct about this. In the city of Seattle, you know, those new plastic package boxes, they're nice and they're convenient, but you can't recycle those. The city won't take those in recycling. And I'm pretty sure that you can't return them to the vendors. I'm not entirely sure about that, but that's the line that I have on that. So reusing boxes is important to us.
And we're saying, yes, that is true. It's probably that about the plastic.
The plastic boxes, yeah, it's unfortunate because it's like an innovation, but it's also a step backwards at the same time. I want to talk a little bit about our nuke selection. Every nuke that we sell, we inspect out in the yards in California. So we don't drive down there and our vendor just says, here's your nukes, load them up and go away. We actually spend 2 days, 3 of us, TJ, myself, and another person, going out and inspecting every frame of every nuke that we have. So we look for a good brood pattern, which means a well-laying queen. We look for honey and pollen resources and no obvious signs of disease. And if it meets our criteria, those are the nukes that we transfer frames to our recycled boxes and we bring that back to Seattle. I'm going to skip over this real fast because I don't want to run out of time. Tracy talked about the advantages of nukes, drawn comb being one of them, an accepted queen being another, and the fact that you get a jump on the season as opposed to a package if you buy a nuke. They're more expensive, but in my mind, well worthwhile. Okay, the last thing we sell are mated queens, same 3 races. We too have access to the vaccinated queens this year. Not in my packages. I'm not going to offer them in the packages, but if you need queens later in the season, there's a good chance that we'll have them. They are a lot more expensive. $50 is already a lot for an insect. So you add $10 to $15 to that. It becomes a little pricey for most people, including me. And then we do maintain a queen bank throughout the seasons, beginning mid-April through November 1st. And that's all I have. So visit our table. We have the QR code at our table. You can find our website. It goes through all the information that I've just talked about, and you can order on our website as well. We distribute on a Sunday, April 13th and April 27th at a private home in Medina. We have a guy there. We use his garage. We come in at night because we drive from California back to Washington in one day. So we come in on Saturday night, usually after dark, TJ and myself, and we unload in the garage and we distribute the following morning starting at 9 a.m.
If there are any online questions, moderator, someone would you, Thank you very much, Dave. Do we have another question? No? Perfect. Thank you, Dave. Bruce, want to talk real fast about the Seeds for Bees program while Melissa is setting up? You have anything to say?
Well, not a tremendous amount. We got seeds, for the last several years, we bought, about 10,000 packets of seeds to give out to classrooms and presentations, customers, if you've got customers, you can, if you're selling honey, you can have some of the seeds available, if you're interested in planting, some seeds to grow. It's a selection of, different, flowers that will grow in this area. The only one that comes to mind, and I know for sure, actually several, but one of them is more interesting than some of the others, I think, is it has Greek oregano in it, small amount, but it's each packet will cover about 1 square meter, maybe 2 square meters, depending on how much you want to spread it out. But they're really they're a good promotional item, and they're a good educational item because you can if you're doing a presentation, you can get them out. We also can order them online, although with here it's better to pick them up. Mostly if they're ordered online, Nancy takes care of delivering them by mail, and so send out 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 packets to the teachers who are wanting to pass them out as part of the pollination project in their classroom. So that's about it. It's but yes, go ahead.
What time of year do you recommend that they get planted?
Soon. Sooner is always better. It's a little cold right now, it's freezing out. But there's plant early in the spring, and mostly what the directions are probably fairly decent. There's you want to plant in the early spring, and they they need water, and if it's dry, they need to be watered pretty good. They'll get established. Greek oregano that I planted several years ago is still volunteering. So it's pretty persistent. You can either reseed or regrow. Some of the others I've done the same. I've seen at a spot where I know someone is planting for a seed packet, and some of the seeds have generated year after year. Some more than others. Probably early is better.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you very much, Bruce. If anyone is curious, about the specific species in the seed packets, they are, if you're in person, all of the species, the mix, all of that is actually on the seed packets. You can look at exactly what's in them. Go ahead, Marley, sorry about that.
No, I was just saying when you guys are standing up in the room, it'd be great if you got closer to the mic when you do that. Somehow you come super clear, Peter, but Bruce was very muffled, and so I think people online had a very hard time understanding the details of what was going on with the seed packets. So we might want to summarize just what we were talking about.
Sure. So Bruce was just quickly talking about, the Seeds for Bees program. We get how many packets?
About 10,000.
We get 10,000 packets. We distribute them here at meetings. We send them out to events. If you have a business or you want to send them to your child's school or anything like that, we distribute these packets for free. We just ask that they get actually planted. And they're a great pollinator-friendly project for adults, kids, whatever.
And people say a theater degree isn't applicable.
Okay, Melissa, thank you very much. It's all yours.
Thank you. Hi, you guys. Thanks for having me. I'm super grateful to be here, and I know a few of you guys. So this is so many people that I've never seen before. So you guys have like a huge group. This is amazing. Our little club is like so tiny compared to you guys. I am
Melissa. I'm gonna guess. Modulate, would it be better if Melissa stepped a little closer?
A little closer? Is that better? I'm very soft-spoken, so okay.
So the owl is your microphone?
Oh,
yes,
okay, got it.
Which is an odd thing, yeah, seeing.
Got it. Got it.
Stand next to the table.
A little closer?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm Melissa, the owner of the Snohomish Bee Company, located in the quaint little town of Snohomish, Washington, about 40 minutes north of here. If nobody's been there, I would encourage you to come visit me. The store is super cute, right downtown Snohomish. It's such a fun little experience. And I'm there most of the time. I practically live there, so I would love to see any of you guys. The company's been there over 30 years. I'm the 5th owner. I purchased it from Corey and Sarah 2 years ago. So I just had my 2-year anniversary going into my 3rd year of running not only a business, but beekeeping. And I will tell you, it's an adventure. So a huge adventure, not only because it's the business aspect, it's getting ingrained into the community. Like I'm part of my bee club up there. The PNW, Pacific Northwest Beekeepers Association. So it's been a lot of fun. I feel like I'm finding my groove, and it's still nerve-wracking. It's like talking to a lot of people, but it's so much fun. I'm more in my element at my store. So if y'all come see me at my store, I'm way more comfortable there. Anyways, some of the things, I just wanted to share too that so I'll share with you just some of the products that we offer in the store, also other things that we offer. So the store has a long history in Snohomish County. And my goal is to carry on that legacy, just I feel like the torch was handed off to me. So I wanna take it and go. And so some of the, what we offer are Langstroth beehives and components. We have hive parts. Like what Tracy was talking about, you don't want just any old foundation. You want some good double dipped in wax foundation, and we supply those at the store. I have customers that come back and rave about their bees loving the double wax foundation. I have a lot of people that will call me and they're like, my bees are not drying out my, Amazon purchase. And I'm like, you need to come see me. I will hook you up. So trying really hard to also source from the USA, supporting local. I appreciate the locals that support me, and you're not only supporting me, you're supporting my family. I have 3 beautiful children. Their ages are 18, 14, and 8. And I'm telling you what, taking them on this adventure with me has been so amazing. Life transforming. My niece is 13, and she installed bees last year for her first time. And she just announced to me that this year she wants to be a beekeeper. So she's gonna have her first hive. And so I'm gonna mentor her. I am only just an apprentice, so this is new it's all new territory for me, but I feel like I learn a lot because I talk to beekeepers every freaking day. And I'm always learning from just here, learning so much all the time. We do offer beginner beekeeping classes at our store. We have some classes coming up in February and March. So if anybody's on the north end or if anybody knows anybody interested, send them my way. I know it might be kind of a drive for some of you all, and we're only doing it in person, not Zoom. So, but we're offering it on a Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 evenings, and then a Monday, Tuesday for 4 evenings. So it's broken up into 4 evening classes. Let's see here. We have hive tools at the store. We have beekeeping, protection and gear. I'm just now bringing in Woods Bees. Woods Bees, their suits and jackets, they are triple layered and they're really nice and actually a really good price point for what you get. We have feed, supplements, miticides, and also we are now carrying the new Varaxin strips, how do you say that? Strips. And so we are here for your mite management needs because we all know how mites are, they're just grand. So yes, and the nutrition is also so vital and key to managing your bees. So we like to keep y'all supplied with all the things and for convenience. And of course you get like that in-person connection. So let's see here. So I'm gonna talk about bees. So bee packages are one of the main components of the business. And I've taken over from Corey and Sarah, and they had established their relationships with their vendors. So it's kind of neat to just jump in and learn about my supplier. My supplier is out of Northern California, Park Legacy Queens. His specialty is Queens Italians. And then also Carniolans. And we have 3-pound packages, 4-pound packages, and we are actually throwing on 5-frame NICs this year. We are going to fit those in just as an addition. I will have sheets for more information at my table. I will have price points on those as well. And then we do carry Queens all summer long. We'll have Italians, Carniolans. Usually we have the Old Soul, but this year we will not have those. So, but I keep those in stock. I keep those in my Queen Bank all spring, summer, and then late summer long. So if y'all need an emergency queen, you have your options for sure. So, yeah, and then let's see here. Oh, I just wanted to share just like a little bit something about me. Last year, well, because I'm just going into my 3rd year beekeeping, but last year I went and caught my first swarm ever. And I will tell you what, that was addicting. I loved it so much. I went and collected 5 more swarms last year. And those were my favorite colonies. I had one super chill Italian, like just a robust, my honeys, it supplied so much honey for me, to a spicier, I'm pretty sure she was a Carniolan queen, this very spicy colony. I made sure to always have my smoker going. But I am officially addicted to collecting swarms. So I hope I get to do that again. And I took my kids with me, and my daughter was 8 years old, and she all summer long was like, Mom, can we go get another swarm? That was so cool. So yes, so not only are you supporting me, I love supporting you guys, but you're supporting my family. And going to get bees is an adventure. We historically bring up 1,100 packages. And we distribute those out at the Monroe Fairgrounds because it's such a large operation. So it's a fun day. I call it bee day. Like it is it's a big day and it's exciting. So we're excited for the 2025 bee season. See you guys.
Thank you so much, Melissa. We do have time for a couple fast questions before we move on. And also, I just wanted to clarify, I know that Dave's nukes, my nukes, and Quentin's nukes, I believe, have all been waiting for at least a full month. And you told me that yours were made up a little different.
Oh, yes,
right?
yes. So because my 5 frame nukes are coming from a commercial supplier, he literally is just gonna be throwing those things together. I'm pretty sure the week of. So, but yeah. And I was gonna say too, like, I guarantee queens too. If your queen she is not alive or she is failing, like, I will replace your queen. I have no problem doing that. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Any board members, trustees, whatever, okay, Quentin, go for it. That's gonna be great.
Hold on. IT support is working on it.
Board members, trustees, officers, I feel like there was one more PSBA program that wanted to say something, but I didn't write it down myself of who it was. Does anyone remember who it was?
That could be me potentially for the classes.
Would you do? No, yeah.
Am I clear to go?
Talking to me at the same time. Molly, did you say something?
Yeah, I was supposed to talk about classes. Tracy did give some dates. On Dawn's dates, she was missing a couple more dates. Dawn is trying a new format, and we'd love your guys' feedback on this. Because Tracy's class is in the apiary, it's in person. Dawn's class is going to be online. There are 4 dates for Dawn's class. So it's March 8th and 9th, and then 15th and 16th, and we're doing it from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. so that you all can go and do other things afterwards. So this is a new format, and just so you know, there are 4 dates, and it's 2-hour classes back to back.
Thank you, Molly.
Can you see online the next deck?
We can.
Okay, go for it.
Cool, thank you. 7 minutes. Hi, everyone. My name is Quentin. I'm here to present you about my company called Seattle Bee Services. First things first, I'm from France. I have an accent that sounds a little funny. So if I say something you don't understand, just stop me. I'll repeat myself or try to explain myself at least. So my company is Seattle Bee Services. And first I'm going to talk about our story. And it's a family story. So here's my dad and myself. You'll see my little brother in a second. My dad started beekeeping about 30 years ago in France, started at school, just fell in love with the bees. And about 18 years ago, he really started a big company in France where he focused on selling nukes, retailing equipment and things like that. Going to the largest company in France, and that's where I grew up as well, learning about beekeeping. He also did urban beekeeping in Paris. I'm sure you heard about that. It's pretty trendy now. He was one of the first company in the world to do that, and the first definitely in France. It started about 15 years ago. Have you heard about Notre Dame when it burned down with the bees there? That was our bees. That was our family company bees. There's actually a fun NPR interview, if you want to listen to it, where we talked about what happened there. And I'm happy to talk at my table because usually people are very curious about it when I start mentioning that. But yeah, it's so 30 years of beekeeping for him. Selling nukes, starting hobby beekeeper, retailing equipment and things like that, and then urban beekeeping as well. I come in 12 years old. I was my dad's first employee. Sounds very fun. It was very fun. Sometimes it was very hard as well. But I grew up doing this pretty much with him. 18, didn't want to go more to school. So I did what I call my college years. For 2.5 years, I went around the world to learn beekeeping. Because if you ask one question to 10 beekeepers, you're going to get 15 answers, right? So the thing is, like 99% of beekeepers do beekeeping the same way. The 1%, that's what makes the difference. That's what I went to learn. I went to California, I went to Greece, I went to Malta, I went to Argentina, I went to Italy, I went to France, to a bunch of different operations. There, usually I was either management or beekeeper, running operation from 5,000 hives, 25,000 queens, all the way down to a few hundred in the Andes Mountains. So it was really different type of beekeeping, but it really taught me a lot about beekeeping. And then when I was 21, so almost 9 years ago, actually in 2 weeks, in 2016, I moved to California to open a beekeeping business down there. We are situated in the East Bay. So if you know, so east of San Francisco, close to Brentwood, right under the delta that we talked so much about in the water, right under there. So on the edges of the valley, if you will. Along those 8 years, we also started, my dad moved there about 4 years ago to help me with the bees, and we actually joined another company called Alveo, where we did a little bit of urban beekeeping there, which allowed me, as I was kind of like the operation manager, allowed me to learn a lot more about beekeeping and also run beekeeping operation in about 30 different cities, all in the US and Canada. So it taught me a lot about it. About a year and a half ago, I moved to Seattle, where I decided to move with my wife and then start, living here and starting a new beekeeping company. So we still have, I'm going to talk in a second, we still have our bees in California. And that's where we have our California operation. We only run a few hundred hives down there, but we manage them a little bit differently than most commercial beekeepers. The way we do it is, first we do sedentary pollination. That means we do not move our bees. We made agreement with growers where we leave our bees all year long there, which means that we are only on organic land. And we also in, diverse farmland. So they don't only grow one type of plants. And most of it is not almonds, it's actually stone fruit and cherries. This allows us to make our nook and also being able to make our nook a lot earlier because we can move bees out of those lands a lot earlier than most of the commercial beekeeper. The way we do and run our bees, because small operation, very tailored beekeeping, and also the ability to stay sedentary, allows us to, in average, the past 8 years, we had about less than 20% losses. It's going fast. Let's talk about our nooks. So once again, I will go down starting in February. Thank you. That's my little brother, by the way. I'm going to go down early February, mid-February, depending on the weather. That's always the problem. And we're going to do our nooks. My little brother, my dad, and I are going to work for it. So what are they? The queen genetic is the lateral queen genetic. They are Carniolians. We only say Carniolians. They are bred in Ohio. Well, they're selected in Ohio and bred in Hawaii. Selected in Ohio by the lateral family apiaries. They've been doing that for many decades. They're brilliant at beekeeping. We don't pretend the same thing, but they're treatment-free. We are not treatment-free, but they are treatment-free. They create amazing, very cold, hardy bees that are amazing in all different types of climate, as much as East Bay in California, then here in Seattle and Ohio as well. They are then bought by a Hawaiian company and bred in Hawaii just to be available at a broader time that they would be in Ohio, because you can imagine how short is the season here. Imagine in Ohio, it's even more complicated. All right, that's our queens. About the nooks, all nooks come the same way. 3 frame of brood, all different stages. 1 frame of resources, honey and pollen, and 1 frame of wax / resources / foods, meaning a frame that is currently being built by the bees and depending on the weather condition. They all come in products, which you've seen all the other people do. Brand new products, you get to keep those. I actually think it's a great way for you to catch swarms. They're very light, they're in plastic, so they're very light to catch swarm, make splits, do all the things for yourself. They come with a pollen paddy because you're going to see I'm going to have them available very early in the season. So just in case the weather is still a little bit cold, you're going to be able to use a pollen paddy. The frame size is the classic Lanthrodt, American Lanthrodt deep size. And all those frames are less than a year old, and they will be double deep wax, and they're from Pierco, which is a company down in Los Angeles. No?
Sorry.
Nice. So what makes us unique for our nook? First and foremost, it's our leader available. You're going to be able to come pick up your nooks with us at the 22nd of March, which is very early. I believe no one else in Washington State will have nooks that early. And the reason is because we make them ourselves and we bring them up from California. That's 7 minutes. Do I got a couple minutes there? No, thank you. Other things, guaranteed quality. You can bring back your nook for whatever reason in the first 15 days that you purchase them, and we'll reimburse you. No question asked. Well, I'm definitely going to ask questions, but I'm also going to reimburse you no matter what. Let's put it this way. We wanted to guarantee for you. So you get your nook, you don't like it, it doesn't work, whatever reason, it's not up to what you expected it to be or what our contracts say it is going to be. We're just going to reimburse you and get that nook back, okay? Third reason, we love hobby beekeeper. We've done that for the past 30 years. We have grown so many people. I can say myself, I've taught beekeeping to so many different people around the world, and that's just what we love to do. And getting people started is what we love doing. So trust us for that. There you go. So a little more than 7 minutes, but yeah, start beekeeping with us. That's the website. It's called Seattle Bee Services. You're welcome to chat with me at my table, or you will have all my information on the website. Thank you.
Questions? Anyone got questions from over the question?
I'm in Seattle, but my bees are going to be a little bit broader than Seattle. I'm hoping to actually go into Chelan County, doing a little bit of the lavender, but right now it's all around Seattle.
Where is it?
The pickup is going to be in Beacon Hill. For now, it's at my house. I'm hoping to find a different place, but for now, let's say Beacon Hill.
Another question over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use Manuka honey in healthcare for wounds.
Yeah.
I haven't found any, and the Manuka tree is in New Zealand,
Yeah.
in that part of the world. Is there any comparable honey in this region that would have the antibacterial properties?
I just went to, I was like.
I don't know the name
Okay.
of the plant,
There
but
was just a talk at the American Beekeeping Federation where I'm like, I just need to tune out and talk about this. One of the things that's really exciting is that there are a lot of US honeys that they are currently researching that have higher to or equal bioactivity to Manuka honey. One of them that we have here is buckwheat honey.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yes, so buckwheat is ours that is, like the tests are, it's exciting, like.
Been dealing for 35
Yeah,
years.
for
Yes,
course.
so they're finding, and soon, hopefully, there are actually going to be like affordable tests where for like less than a couple $100, we could actually send our honeys in and get them tested for this. Spotted lanternfly honey, which is on the East Coast, which like spotted lanternfly is very bad. They produce a honey that is even more bioactive than Manuka. Yes. So things that are like sap and secretion based honeys are very high in these.
It does more for wounds than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for birds. So buckwheat is amazing, tastes in my opinion a lot better than Manuka, and you're gonna get it for maybe 1/20th of the price, but you have similar properties, not quite as much as far as I know, but most studies are coming, but it tastes so much better.
And we won't tell the pharmaceutical company.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's a great honey, yeah.
And actually, what I just realized is there are like the wound care stuff. I didn't realize how much science there
Yeah.
was.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
I was a little, it's like there's a lot of claims on the internet. So I was really excited to find out.
There's a famous hospital in France that in the southwest that use there's bandages that come soaked in honey for
Yes.
people that are burned, like heavy second,
Yeah.
third degree burn, and you can use them. And so usually it's Manuka or buckwheat in France.
Brazil that can
Yeah.
use that.
Yeah.
So it's buckwheat in France that they use, not Manuka.
Yes, correct.
Any other question or online? I don't think there's any hands.
Okay, I'll come up and
Cool, thank you.
close things up there really, really fast. Give us the,
And I just wanted to see if there are like any general nuke or package
yeah.
purchase questions.
if there are any final questions for the entire group of vendors from online especially, this is your last best chance to ask them. Are there any final questions for everyone? I see Jose's hand raised, but Magali, would you moderate that for the online? I think it'll be easier for you to moderate.
Question, Peter. When we break out and online, please raise your hand if you have any questions. When we break out, do you want me to put everybody that's online in a breakout room separately? So you don't have our sound, or are you able to cut it?
I think we'll just
We'll just mute on this side, and I'll have someone try to sort of keep an eye on chat if you want to, or if you want to text me or whatever, if there's something that needs to go out to the larger group.
And I will drop the websites for the 4 vendors in the chat here once we're done as well. So if people are wanting that for the folks online.
Awesome. Thank you.
But I think, yeah.
So any final questions for the large group from online?
I'm not seeing anything. Anybody?
Last chance. Great, awesome. So you, the online group, have fun, everyone. Thank you so much.
How's everyone doing?
Did a post-mortem this weekend on one of my hives. Was not fun, but I already knew it was going. So, but yeah, looking forward for spring.
Nice. What did you find in your case?
Late season mite bomb, and then they didn't have enough bees and tried to create a queen too late, and it was just
Oh,
standard death.
I know that's tough. I don't like when they go that way. It's sad.
The good news is that I have a hive full of honey to give to the other hives now.
That's a good way to look at it. Anybody have any questions or thoughts about colonies this spring? Wow, you guys are a talkative group.
How'd your bees do, Tracy?
Knock on wood, so far so good. I had some crump in the fall, but I'm still kicking at about 3/4 alive.
Did you say crump in the fall?
Crump, yeah, they crumped in the fall. I had the same thing happen with one. It looked like they lost their queen late.
Yeah, I had some of the ones I thought would die that just would not respond to the treatments. Like why do you still have mites? No one else has mites. I got a missent queen because I ordered some oh my god, what are Randy's called? The Golden West queens.
Oh,
And they
okay.
missent me a Saskatraz. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll throw her in a nuke and see what she does. Garbage, just such a garbage queen. I'm like, how do people buy this? I'd send her back if it wasn't free, but
Yeah, I didn't have any luck with the Saskatraz queens either.
no, yeah, I was actually really surprised how bad it was. I mean, she didn't build up. I put mite treatments in after mite treatment, and it's just like, you guys still have mites. Are you like going out and collecting them? It's like you're not collecting honey, so you're doing something. But yeah, so I wasn't surprised when they disappeared early fall or late fall.
Do you guys think we're gonna get more a cold weather and some snow maybe?
Yes.
It almost always snows in April, right around my sister's birthday.
The worst possible time for the bees, we're going to get snow.
Right. That last vendor who was saying that they're available in March, and I'm like, will we be able to install them in March though?
Yeah,
If you're gonna have to be fast. I mean, I've installed them under an umbrella before.
Yeah, my first colony in West Yellowstone, I installed. It was probably like 37 degrees outside. It was in May, but that's because we're at 6,600 feet high, and yeah, we get snow. It actually snowed probably a few days after that.
One of the other beautiful things about getting a nuke is you don't have to install them right away. I mean, the longer you leave them in that box, the more chance you have of them starting to build swarm cells. But you don't, I mean, if it's going to rain for 2 or 3 days, you can just leave them in the box, open the entrance and let them fly. As opposed to if you have a package kind of stuck with getting them out of that little box, even if it is raining outside.
The other thing is you have a nuke like that coming from a warmer climate, like they will be. They'll be in this buildup mode, and then if it's cold and they can't go out and fly here, they'll cannibalize a lot of that brood.
Yeah.
So they'll actually get set back as a result. But that you can just leave them in there because they won't be able to build up.
That's a good
or
point.
Starve. You might have to feed them. But
How do you feed a nook actually? Those I mean, I assume they come in the cardboard boxes like I've had.
I just put a pollen patty on top.
Okay.
Or like if they come in the pro nukes, those are set up that you can cut the end out of the lid and put a pop bottle over the top of it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're actually designed for that. Yeah. wait, let me rephrase that. You don't have to cut it out. If you turn the lid on upside down and take a razor blade and just shave the bottom off, it's got grooves in it and the plastic goes, down a little bit. So you just shave that plastic off so it's got slots in it, and then you tip your bottle over on top of that. And it's actually pretty slick too, because it drips not onto the frame, but just off to the side. So if any drips out, it drips down on the ground.
If it is snowing though, you don't want to feed
No,
surface.
it's too cold for that.
If it's got the telescoping cardboard lid, you can still dump matted wet sugar on top and then push the lid down as much as you can and then weight it with something, and they'll get thin little layer of sugar up there, which should be enough for them for a few days.
My bees go flying at 41 degrees. They
That's when
actually
mine
start
fly,
flying
yeah.
at about 39, but 41 is when they start coming in big numbers.
I saw a
kind of
couple
funny
out flying
because-
today.
Mine
Nice.
were out today. Mine were really out yesterday though. It's like after a few days of really cold, that first break, they go crazy. And then if there's the next day, it's like nice again. They're like, we're just going to kind of coast today. So
It's
I
the
think
mad
more
rush to the
runs.
bathroom.
Yeah. Gotta go.
Usually when my car gets covered.
I get my snow all covered in leopard because it's often there's snow on the ground when they get out. So the first time that they come out, it's leopard the whole yard.
It's hilarious. I swear they just go right for my car and dive bomb it.
They don't like your car. I guess you need to change your car.
I
You need a new
definitely
one.
have a lot of yellow spots in my car, and I park on the street. So I've often wondered, like, do I just not wash my car enough? Because I don't see spots on anyone else's cars, but
So my car's in my garage where my beekeeping equipment is. A bee climbed into my cabin air filter, and I found her, I don't know, probably 2 weeks later after the car smelled like bee pheromone.
Could be way worse. Could smell like rotten bananas or something.
everyone always complains about the banana smell. I mean, definitely if you've irritated them, you get that. But I find I'm like, especially in spring, if like I'm clearing dirt away or like things have settled a little bit, if I have dirty hands, like just dirt on my fingers, they're usually not very happy with me at all. Like it's like the worst thing for them. It's like, I don't know if that's like a bear like thing, but they don't like that smell of dirt on my hands.
I usually carry my swarms home in my car, so I've constantly got finding dead carcasses in my car.
I did have the opposite reaction where one day I was drinking lemon verbena outside and I kept wondering why the bees kept visiting around me because I was on the other side of the yard just typing on my computer until I put two and two together that lemon verbena probably smelled enough like their pheromone that they said, "Hey, mom, hi, mom, you're a very big mom, but I like you, mom."
Thirsty. So who's all got bees still? Out of curiosity. Yay. It's pretty good.
There's not that many videos going, so I don't know the hands actually went out.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, I do not have bees. I had a beehive for 4 years, like before I finished college, but I moved here from Florida, so I don't have a beehive now. But I like to help with the apiary. Like I got roped into helping with one of the classes they were teaching before the winter. So
Oh, well, welcome.
yeah, I need to learn how to beekeep with seasons. So
Yeah, beekeeping here is wait. April hits, and then it's like, oh, they're coming out of winter. Look, it's exciting to get to look in the hive. And then it's like 2 weeks later, they slap you in the face, like, we're ready to swarm. And then you fight that for the next month if you don't have a dearth. Blackberries come in, and then you're throwing boxes in as fast as possible. Then July gets here, and it's like, is it over? It's already over. Now you spend the rest of the year fighting mites.
yeah, Florida, it's like the same temperature all year because it's summer all year. Like I harvested from my hive like 3 times, but like you could harvest like year round basically because there's always something blooming. And then in the summer there'd just be like really bad rain. So I had to make sure like my hives were lifted off the ground really well. And like there's places for the water to go because the rain here is so crazy because it's like a mist. It's not really rain. So it's like in Florida, it's like you can't see in front of you when it's raining. So
Oh, wait for it. We get that kind of rain too.
all right, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I haven't seen it yet. I have
It'll
yet to need an
happen.
umbrella.
That's November.
Yeah, true.
We get some of that in March. You'll get drenched, you'll be dripping wet, and then the sun will come back out, and you'll be, I'll be walking the dogs all the time, and it'll be like a beautiful sunny day, and the next thing you know, you're drenched, and then you're dripping water, and people are looking at you like they got just hosed down. Like, it rained a minute ago. I know you were all in your house. You just came out and saw me walking down the street, but it definitely, we get some manic weather here.
Sure of that. So you guys, I'm gonna head and get some dinner.
Thanks,
See you next
Tracy.
month.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
Hey Jeff, I had a quick question. What do you use for late summer mite treatments on your top bars?
I pretty much, the only treatment I'm using, and I am thinking how to phrase this. So it's not an official approved treatment, but is the Randy Oliver's oxalic acid strips.
Okay. OAE. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta, it's like, I can't necessarily recommend that. I'm doing
I've
it, but
got them in my hive too.
yeah. So not promoting it, but there's, from an experimental point of view, it does work on some hives, and some hives it's like you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I have found that I don't know if it's the latest recipe, but the last recipe was it was a higher glycerin mix. I am seeing better, those strips last longer. Randy likes to say they're juicy. So yeah. So when you get my strips, they're basically, they're not dripping, but they're almost dripping. So they're really heavily saturated. And there is a lot of oxalic acid in each one of those.
Did anyone else try the new? Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I think it's, I forget my ratio. I think it's like 90 grams oxalic acid per sheet.
Yeah.
So I cut that in half.
About
Yeah.
100 on mine.
Yeah, it's pretty high. I have to go look at my recipe to see what it's at now, but I get as much in there as I can. It's 100% saturation.
It's literally coated when I'm done with it. So yeah.
I've seen strips other people make. I'm like, I would throw those out. Those look dry. I mean, you set that on the counter, you picked it up, and you didn't leave any residue. It's like, it should be like a slug, they're definitely got to be slimy.
I pick them up with chopsticks and the dripping still.
Yeah, that's how I actually use chopsticks when I'm applying them. I have a little bag and put them in. Try not to touch anything with them.
Jeff, are you okay if I sign you the host and I leave actually? It's 9:30 p.m. where I am and I teach her.
Sure. I don't know if I necessarily know what I'm doing, but go ahead.
There's a couple things that can happen. One, I can stop the
or something?
recording. Yeah, I can stop the recording right now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, why don't you do that?
There we go. And then